We're live.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Good, good evening, everyone. Today, my guest is a USC graduate with degrees in international relations and in Spanish, 15 years in public service with multiple local government, Los Angeles City Council, and the Department of Public Works. She also is a planning commissioner for the city of Montebello. She's also a union member for engineers and architects, as well as for IBEW Local 11. She's a homeowner, a small business owner, and a mother.
A chair.
Please, and a chairman, that's right. Candidate of District 4, Joella Valdez. Thank you for joining me again, Joella.
Thank you for having me again. The eve of election night.
Yes. So, for everybody, I'm currently in London and it is 4 a.m. right now. So, I thought this was important so you guys can get anybody that's on the fence can actually hear it from Joella herself and make an educated decision on how they're going to vote. Our job is not to convince you, our job is for you, the resident, to be able to go through what you want and what you see and see who fits you better. Um, I also want to address something. There was, I think, a lot of confusion. So in 2020, when we were having elections, we hosted a debate. It was myself and Professor Al Primental. When we did this, we knew that there was going to be a controversy. So the way we worked it was Professor Al is on boards. He has to have credibility. So obviously he has to have a certain work ethic. For the city of Montebello, I try to keep that same ethic because how can I come out here and complain about people if I'm not going to at least hold myself accountable as well? So I made sure to remain completely out of any of the questions that was given to the candidates. And I was in charge of moderating the time. So residents were asking, can we have another debate? So I reached out to the candidates, Joella Valdez, David Torres for District 4, and Scarlett Peralta for District 2, and Jack Hajinian for District 2. Now, the current council members declined. And for Mr. Hajinian, we were not able to meet with the times. Like I said, I've been in Europe and our times are not syncing. It wasn't that he turned it down. So Mr. Joella right away approved it and she worked with me on getting some times together so we can give you at least some information. So because of that, I also let them know in the text message, if their opponent denies this, then I'm going to give them an opportunity to discuss it and talk about it, the issues for the districts and what they would like to see happen under their leadership. With that being said, um, there's a lot to talk about. And, there's a lot of people talking about affiliations. One of them is, whether Joella is connected to Jack Ajinian, Angie Jimenez. Here's the problem. We're a small town, small city. Everybody knows each other one way or another. Me, myself, I don't ask candidates permission on what I say, how I say it, or when I say it. Even if I'm going for them, it's not their decision. This is my decision on my freedom of speech. For Joella, now, here's another problem that we're having. When you're going to be having counsel, it can always flip and change. And if you make enemies with everybody and you can't talk to anybody, you're not going to have positive change because they're going to ignore you. And we do know that there is certain council members that hold grudges. And if they do, then, I call it out. I call it the way I see it. Now, would you like to follow up with some of the affiliations, Joella?
Well, I just find it interesting that outside supporters are trying to make affiliations for me. And I want to make it clear I am not affiliated, or they like to use the word team. I'm team the residents. I'm team the residents. I'm team the community. And they're doing this and they're not even focused on the opponent's affiliation with drug dealers, with the cannabis industry that they voted for, with vendors that are under FBI investigations, with vendors who want a hand in choosing who our political who our elected officials are, with recalled council members. No one talks about those very dangerous and concerning affiliations. And I think that the team mentality and the affiliation mentality is taking priority over the residents and what's best for us in our community. For example, I'm looked at as an outsider. I'm absolutely the underdog. However, I'm a resident that has experience in certain things. And when I come to council meetings and make public comment or try to reach out to our council members to get certain resources or things done in our area, like you said, I'm ignored because I'm not on that team. And I refuse to participate in that culture because it discourages people from participating. You don't know how many residents just feel like, I just stay out of it. I just maintain my house and my area because nothing changes here. So we really have to change that culture in this city where it's team this and team that. Um, what I can tell you is that I'm not team $100,000 to fund a recall effort. Um, because I think about I wasn't for that when there were talks about having a recall in District 4, and I'm not for that for any other district because these resources take $100,000 for instance, what's being spent right now could be used to, buy backpacks full of supplies for our resident children. There are residents that are behind on their utility bills right now, and $100,000 can help 250 households catch up on their utilities, averaging, $400. So I am not with any affiliations. I am not on any team. I am Team Montebello. I am team District 4, and I am team putting the residents first, putting us first, people like you and me. Well, and that is my affiliation.
No, I appreciate it. You know, you bring up a good point. This is also setting a big precedence where $100,000 because you voted no on Mr. Perrin's properties. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, they're not his properties. They're ours, and we pay for it. It's all on our dime, guys. See, the way that whole property's been working is it's basically a gift of public funds.
Which
There's
is
bond debt. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just chiming in, which is illegal.
Yeah. Yeah. And we already were in the audit for no bid contracts. We're currently on a follow-up audit. It's going to be dropping pretty soon. And we just gave a 30-year contract out to Perrin that set up the whole Top Golf situation in the first place. And the minute Jimenez brought up his name, recall effort like that, $100,000 to me and you, that's a lot of money. But a lot of people don't realize we pay Perrin $1.3 million dollars and above every year. Now, in most leasing situations, the leaser pays the owner. Example, if I lease your property, if I lease your car, I would pay you. That's not how Montebello works. We pay the lease person, and then they give them a tax deduction. Instead of starting to pay the city part of the profits from that property that we own, we bonded, we used city money, city buildings, city property to leverage to get these bonds. And we were talking a little bit, and you were telling me that it's some pretty outrageous numbers for the bonds currently.
Yeah, the number is outrageous. It's actually should have put it on do not disturb. Oh no, is it
Just switch it back and then it'll go back to your camera.
okay? Let me put do not disturb. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
Um, okay. Can you am I stuck?
You might be. Let me see. Mm, huh. Let's see. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. I could remove you and try to click the link again, and I'll add you back on.
No, 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 no.
Is okay. Let's see. Because nothing's on my settings for that.
Am I still
You're breaking up.
um
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. It's just my
Okay.
camera is my
Let
camera.
me remove you real quick and click the link again so you can add it again.
Okay.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Um, let's see. Let me just send this to her. So elections are going to be an interesting night. First time I'm not actually in the States during elections. Here's Joella. You there? Perfect. Alrighty. So we're talking about the bonds.
Yes, yes. And I that's why I wanted to do it on my computer because I knew people are like texting like, "Oh, where's the lie? Where's this? Where's that?" And I'm like, "Ah." Yes, so bond debt, very important. I think that a lot of residents need to know this, so I have put it on my website under compare the candidates, a link to the full financial report that was published by the city in June. We are $380 million in bond debt. And we took those bonds to fund the unfunded pension liabilities, the golf course renovations, Top Golf, the second hotel, and to pave the pave the way program to pave the streets that was supposed to enter in phase two, but the plan wasn't comprehensive because most streets uh, in our area have not been paved, and I have seen no streets paved in District 4 under that program. You can find a link to the map for Pave the Way that had all the streets that were scheduled to be done on my website. So I have receipts for everything that I say. So what's going on is that us, are the residents, we are in debt for these assets that we are not benefiting from. We only take the liability, and kind of like what you just said. Well, we have a relationship or a situation where we have city-owned property that other people are getting money off the top. They get their money off the top. They get paid to manage the properties. Top Golf gets their money, everyone gets their money, and we are stuck with paying the bills and the liabilities. And if there's anything left over on the profit and loss sheet, then yeah, we are able to make some money. But historically, we have not ever really made money with these properties. So we are in a huge financial situation, regardless of what any of the current council members may tell you. Montebello is in a great financial shape. No, we're not. Not when we took bonds in order to cover areas in the audit that we were in the red for, because we just took out loans to kind of cover that up, and we're still responsible to pay that.
One of the things that that she's talking about, guys, is our service debt for the retirement. And that was a big one. And most residents don't know. So this is attached to your property tax bill. And just a little background, this was actually voted on by the residents. This was a perk because we needed to attract fire and police, and we wanted our own department. So the residents at the time, they voted to have an additional tax added to their property. So this way it could pay for the pensions of our employees. I believe it was under Newsom that he took a stance on it where he said we could no longer adjust that, and he put a cap. That's the only reason why it created bigger problems, because the administration at the time and legal, in my opinion, at the time didn't have any forward thought process, because there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be worked on. Sewage is one of the big ones. The streets, as Joella was talking about. If you look at people talking about planting the trees on Beverly Boulevard get chopped off all the time because they're in electrical lines. So we need to make some smart decisions moving forward.
Yes, yes. And, we need to make smart financial decisions. Right now, the city is embroiled in multiple lawsuits and claims and settlements. You can read about it in the news. You could just Google it. We have two current lawsuits. We have claims pending, and we had a settlement with our city, with the previous city manager, which was over $1 million. I'm hearing it was about 2 million, 1.7
That
is
was
what,
just to him, not legal fees.
and that's not including legal fees. And these current lawsuits that are coming is estimated to cost us, the taxpayers, about $20 million. We really need a council that's going to make better financial decisions, that is not going to put us in these liabilities, and is also going to not rob Peter to pay Paul, to be able,
Exactly.
say, "Oh, look at this, guys." No, we don't want cover-ups. We want the work to be done. We want real solutions. Um, but it just doesn't seem to be a priority for this council. I mean, look at the way uh, the streets are looking. Greenwood and Mines is one of the biggest things that I've been yelling from the top of the mountain. um,
Now, actually, let me hold you right there because there's a bit of an argument. What is a construction zone? And this is more of your specialty. Can you break it down? What exactly is like the right parameters? How would it be done? What is what zone? This is an area that I'm not too familiar with.
sure. What's happening right now, and where the back and forth is with the incumbent and his outside supporters are trying to spin the narrative. I've been talking about an area on Greenwood, right between the railroad tracks and mines, that is completely open to the public. The public uses that roadway every day. Bicyclists, motorists, folks, pedestrians, folks that use mobility devices like wheelchairs and walkers and canes. Um, Montebello Boulevard, on the other hand, is a closed construction site, meaning you cannot, there's no cars, there's no vehicular traffic, there are no pedestrians, there are no bicycles. So that is a closed construction zone. There is no way on earth that I would be in my right mind if I went over there and start filming and showing those conditions. You can't, because it's all dirt. Now, Greenwood and Mines is open and construction is taking place, which is completely normal. This happens. But construction sites have to follow OSHA, PROWAG, and ADA
What's
standards.
ProRat?
PROWAG is the public right of way guidelines. So all sidewalks and streets, any right of way that the public use, has to be safe and to a certain code and standard. Previously, there was an open ditch. You can take a look on my Instagram, my Facebook, where I have documented these violations. I would like to say today there is a net there. So my hollering is something is happening a little bit finally since, like, May.
Isn't it sad that it takes this?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
takes all of this just to get heard,
yeah,
versus they could have just worked with the community when they're bringing up these real subjects instead of being
real-
gaslit, where everything is fine. Because another one of your topics, I apologize, is also about a substation on the south side.
yeah.
Now, some people have an argument. What is a substation? In my opinion, the way I view a substation, LAPD, LA County Sheriffs have main headquarters. And then you have other stations around. So this way they would report to, and you would have enough support. Because would you imagine coming from downtown LA going to Echo Park every day? Just as you drive alone in traffic, you're not going to make it. But continue. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm listening. What is your question?
Oh no, no, no! I was bringing it up. That was
Oh yes,
that part of the substation when you were talking about this is because the crime rate, as well as with the construction zone, with the roads that are closed,
yes,
all of these things play into effect.
yeah.
And mind you, this was approved prior to 2018, guys. So anybody that's been on council since 2019 from District 4 knew this was coming. In
Yes,
2018, our council changed. They knew, and
yes.
this was not brought as a priority.
Yes. So with the closure of Montebello Boulevard, we as residents have seen an increase in traffic on all the other streets: Bluff, Greenwood, Maple Vale. It's becoming extremely difficult. In addition, the train has been doing something lately called train napping. I know all of you guys have experienced the train coming to a complete stop for 30 minutes, an hour, and sometimes 2 hours. Sometimes when, because I could see the train right out my window, I would try to make Facebook updates like, guys, avoid this area. The train has been stopped for X amount of time. So the community, the world is changing, the community is changing, and with this change we see this new construction project, a closure of a major roadway. We see the increase of crime, which is happening everywhere throughout the county, not just specifically Montebello. And we see a change, a shift in the demographic also for the city. And I spoke with police officers in addition to residents, and a substation would be beneficial for the community. It would do things like deter crime and activity, criminal activity in that area. It would give a place for our officers to be able to be stationed on this side of the tracks, an area where they're able to file police reports, just even like the most basic need as to like having restrooms, which is very basic, right? That are accessible to them. Um, so in June, when the budget came out for 2025 fiscal year, there was nothing included on the budget for this side of town. And it was asked if if the council could consider putting a police substation in Chet Holyfield, where we already have the building, we already have the facility. Um, the majority did not support that. And as a matter of fact, our council member here in District 4 openly opposed it. You can watch the council meeting for yourself. And I also have a snippet on my Instagram and Facebook. And I did go to public comment the following meeting and reminded him that we do have residents. Our district does extend beyond the train tracks. And like you said, win or lose, it seems like me having the opportunity to highlight these issues is helping, because now that it's election season, um, the council member has finally decided to say that they are going to consider and he would support a police substation. However, that was not the case in June, July, August, or September. So, I look at this as a win for my community.
Mhm. And even this is the big thing is that comes up in the conversations. Team this or team that. I've been team Montebello, and that's my concern is Montebello first, because then it benefits everybody, not just one party, not one district. It's everybody. To speak about the crime rate, one of our residents wanted to bring in a Little Caesars to the south side. Little Caesars turned it down because there's too much of a crime rate. Now, the dog park, we said, well, why don't you put the dog park on the south side? Because there's no good parks on the south side, unfortunately. And they said that they wouldn't go to it because the crime rate's too high. So the council members told them that they'll put it in the north side so they could feel safe. So it's perplexing to me that we don't need a substation because crime is negligible. Then they come out with a false number saying we have 106 officers when it's below 100, below 90, if I heard right. And they're trying to use dispatch, police chiefs that do not patrol, and other law enforcement. What we need to have minimum is at least 120 officers being able to patrol.
I just think in a city the size of Montebello, that's a full service city, we should never be debating public safety the way it has been debated in these past few months. I do want to make a point of clarification. With the ACE project, in the last design that I saw with former council member Vanessa Delgado, there is supposed to be a dog park that will be paid by the ACE project um, on Olympic and Montebello Boulevard, where the old Shell gas station was. So we were getting a dog park. And I can tell you right now,
For free.
for not 600,000 or 800,000, whatever figure they have out there out.
$695,000.
And what I will tell you, and what I will tell all the parents, all the sports parents will agree with me, is that we don't need another park until we can start investing in the infrastructure in the parks that we have now. The restrooms sometimes are not, I'm being kind. The restrooms are not in, good condition. We really do need to put in that investment into what we do have, because many of us sports parents, we spend at least 4 or to 5 days a week in these parks. Our children play in these parks. This is something that we should have as a benefit: green open space to enjoy. This is what we pay for. These are the amenities that we expect. um, and I think that that is something that's being, neglected also.
Well said. Now, another part that people are bringing up is how people are getting hit or getting support from PACs. I think people also need to understand, when you're a PAC, you do not have contact with the candidate. It would make it illegal if you knew what was going on. So if you ever look on the 460s in the center column, there's a box that has been getting checked off for these political action committees. They're called independent expenditures. Now, I'm not the expert on that area. I have a few friends that are, though. And now, from my understanding, is if I wanted to put a hit piece, let's just say against you for the just for the conversation, or a support piece, I cannot contact you. I'm just going to do it, but I still have to report it. And then I'm going to put on another form whether I'm opposing or supporting. So when people are making these claims that, oh, well, Brad Perrin gave money to a PAC, absolutely, he probably did. He gave a lot of money to these PACs, over $100,000. That's how much this property means to him. And this, oh man, it's even so much deeper than that. We have a battalion chief that was on a suspension. Pending an investigation, he would have been terminated. He wasn't getting his answer. He calls a former councilwoman. That councilwoman gets him in contact with Brad Perrin. They make a deal. 2 days later, he's back at work, all done, wiped up, and put out to there. That is dangerous, guys. That one person that's an outsider can control our council that much.
Yes, well, pay to play politics is a huge issue in the city of Montebello. It's been a huge issue for generations. It's woven into the fabric of today's culture in Montebello. I have made a video detailing and documenting some pay to play moves that happened as recent as September. Um, so PACs play a big part of this pay to play scenario, because what happens is we do have certain measures and laws, ordinances, if you will, that try to mitigate this pay to play culture, but they're ignored and they're circumvented, via PACs. For instance, let's take a look at one of the more recent situations. On September 11th, the council was asked to vote on a contract for a company by the name of Infrastructure Engineers. David Torres voted yes. And 6 days later, Infrastructure Engineers, a Bowman company, made a payment to a PAC called Neighbors for Better Leadership in a total amount of $5,750. 2 days after that, that same PAC issued a check in support of David Torres for about $4,500. This is still pay to play politics. You cannot
Just
use
layers.
you cannot use third parties and PACs to circumvent the law. We are not ignorant. Montebello residents, pay attention. They think that we're stupid. You cannot, circumvent the law like that. Like, Will, say I wanted to buy you a car and your wife was like, absolutely not. We're not accepting that type of gift from Joella. No, she cannot buy you a car. And you come to me and you say, Joella, just go over to the Honda dealership, cut the check, and then tell them to give me the keys. I am still doing something against it's the intent, right? It's the intent.
Integrity, too.
Yeah, yeah. And so pay to play politics is happening every day in Montebello. We see it more blatantly in election season, but it also happens out of election season. Don't be naive. These players, why do you think they have so much influence over these council members and how they vote? Why do you think that there is a culture of team, right? You're this team, you're that team. If you're not a part of this team, you can't participate in the political process. If you're not a part of this team, you can't have a voice in policy making, because you have to be a part of the team that's being aligned or paid by the special interest. And I've been seeing some things floating around lately, like, well, it doesn't matter if it's special interest. It absolutely matters. Please don't let anyone tell you that. When someone can influence the outcome of an election with money, that is an issue. We see it as an issue on the national level. It is an issue here. We cannot allow people to influence what does and does not get done, what resources we can and cannot have, because they have money. That is not okay.
And if they really wanted to, they've had more than enough time to make some form of uh, policy so that the PACs would have to register in the city. And if they don't register and they send money to here, we can fine them heavy fines. They don't want that to be done. It's all smoke and mirrors, guys. You know, when they give a 30-year no bid contract, when they promise to give future properties of Montebello away, that's a gift of public funds. Not only did they do that, they also gave him a tax break. Let's just say he started paying the city of Montebello 10% after $2 million. That threshold now has been moved to around $7 million. They try to make a him and hawing about it because what they say is we would have went bankrupt. It's partial truth. We would have went bankrupt, but not because Top Golf was suing us, because in our contract, the max that they could have sued us for was about $2 million. We have an insurance. We would have paid 1 million. The insurance would have kicked out the other 1 million. It would have been good. Done. The problem is they were going to sue Brad Perrin. And Brad Perrin, in his contracts, he's indemnified, meaning we have to make him whole. So if he wants to go pick a great lawyer, it's on your dollars, guys, your tax dollars. So when we can't get these streets done, when we can't get the parks fixed, when we don't have any businesses coming, when we don't have the money to hire more law enforcement, this is the reason why we have lawsuits at least 10 times a year by employees. Now, I'm not going to say I'm in favor of all employees, but there's a way to do things the right way versus the wrong way. If you need to get rid of somebody because they're doing a bad job, you need to document, document, document. No, they just give more billable hours to Arnold Glassman, who does not have our interests at heart, our best interests at heart. You know, it wasn't easy to make a decision so we can get to this point. I'm sure even for you, you have your business, you have your child, you also work. To bring on an extra stressor wasn't an easy decision to make, right?
Wasn't. As a matter of fact, I was talking to myself this morning in the shower, and or talking to God maybe. And I said this, like, God, it doesn't have to be me. I am not the person who wants to be all in the videos, in the photos. I am what we say in Spanish, a trabajadora. I'm the worker. I'm the one that gets things done. I've worked for many politicians and in my career. It would be so great if we had a council member that had our best interest, that we could call to get things done, and it gets done instead of me. Like, that's beautiful. I don't have to, because I worked in council offices before. Um, I was a council deputy before having the role that I have now in the Department of Public Works. And I just have a different standard for my council member, because I know the standard of the level of service that what we gave our residents. If Miss Brenda want her alley clean, we're not giving her excuses. We're getting it done. If Mr. Lorenzo has a pothole, we're the ones collaborating with the city in order to get these services to our residents. On the other hand, we in Montebello have to fend for ourselves, which is why I made those little cards that I showed you in the last live we did, that has all the numbers for all the city departments and city services like graffiti and street sweeping and garbage collection, because I have had to learn how to fend for myself. My own neighbors, we stopped asking the council member for updates on the ACE project before they broke ground. We just directly communicate with Maria Cano, who is over community relations for the project. We go directly to the source now because we don't have that type of service from our council member. And it was a hard decision to make, but someone has to do it. And I spoke with my community and the neighbors, and we need someone that's going to get in there and going to represent the voice of the resident, not protect campaign donors and city vendors. They play a huge part in getting things done in the city, but we have to hold them accountable. We have to have a different relationship with them. It has to be, this is the work and this is what needs to get done, and to get it done, it's not about this this type of team like we were saying earlier. And that's a huge problem for me, and I had to step up and make the decision that either we're going to keep going the way we've been going these past 4 to 5, 6 years, beyond for some other residents. And we have to make a decision, and we have to start electing people that are going to put the people first. Because I don't have the money to go out and buy a new house somewhere else. And they say the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. Well, I need help. I need help bringing the hose to the lawn and making this city a better place for our senior citizens, for our youth, for our children, so that we have a Montebello for tomorrow. Because the way things are going now, I just it's not positive.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. We've seen our legal and we've seen the contracts, and with Brad Perrin, with the street sweeping, with the trash, with the graffiti removal. Can we get a commitment for you that, at least on your part, because you cannot control everybody else? Remember, guys, she's only one vote if she does win. Can we get a commitment from you that you will not vote on a no bid contract, that you will push to have an actual bid contract go out to RFP? And this way we get real numbers instead of continuing the
Ab-
same game.
Absolutely. That's an easy commitment, because in the professional environments that I've worked in, for the agencies that I've worked for, there are severe consequences when you do things the way Montebello has been doing things. And I
Jose,
have
we are an example.
I'm not saying any names.
I
You're
am. I'm saying it.
and,
I'm saying it.
and and it's not just city of LA. I've worked for multiple government agencies throughout my career, and these are the things that I've seen people be indicted for and go
Mhm.
to jail for. And my integrity is just set up in a whole different way. I think that I showed that in this campaign. Um, there's nothing that I want that much that I'm going to compromise my integrity and the safety and the well-being of my family and my neighbors. So definitely will commit to not engaging in this pay to play politics environment, handing out no bid contracts, because that's a part of, I mean, in the audit, let's talk about infrastructure engineers. In the audit, they were specifically named as a vendor. Back then, they were known as AAE. Okay. And they were specifically highlighted as a vendor that we should not be doing business with, because they were under federal investigation for the same practice of, no bid contracts and bribery in Maywood, in another city. And in one of the lawsuits that, on my website, there's a link to it, one of the more recent whistleblower lawsuits, in paragraph, I think 29 to 32, specifically talks about, before that person started getting like um, some retaliation, I guess, they specifically spoke about infrastructure engineers pressuring the council to award them a contract and that this employee advised against it and referenced the audit. But no, she's in the way. Got to get rid of her, right?
Yeah.
So,
And to help facilitate this, guys, is the city manager as well as the city attorney. And the city attorney plays a huge, huge part in a lot of these games. He's from the old school. He's tied to majority of these old, um, what would be the best way to call them?
art,
Good-
like it's the old guard, because a lot of
Yeah,
people, what they do is, it's so sad because they fool you. People come around like, oh, this is fresh, these are new people. It's not new people, it's the same people behind. So when you hear them spreading rumors about me and affiliation, they're trying to
tough
distract
luck.
you. They're trying to distract you from realizing that they are affiliated with all of the recalled council members, all of the disgraced council members, all of the people that want to continue to have their grip on Montebello. Whereas me, I don't have any affiliations. You could look at my financial statements, my 460s. It is literally District 4 residents, my family that, okay, they live in District 1, but and my friends, but we're all Montebello. So pretty much I just say it is my friends and family, people who believe in me, who I have professional relationships with, that know me through. As a matter of fact, you and I talked about this, Will, before. I was supposed to go on KJLH, the radio station. They approached me because they know me, because of my reputation, um, because I have a good reputation, and my work speaks for myself. Um, but I was reluctant to give somebody else the opportunity to be highlighted on that type of platform. So I declined. Um, but when they talk, like I said, when they talk about affiliations, they want to distract you because they don't want you to realize that it's the same old people with a different face in the front, but it's the same people making the
Oh
decision.
yes.
It's just, and the people in the front, they're being pacified by material things, by money, by homes, by shopping sprees. These are real things that are happening, and you can speak to former council members that have witnessed these things themselves, and they're trying to move on with their lives now, so they don't talk about it in public. But wow, if some people came out public and did a live with you, Will, there would be a lot of revelations that have come out. I've seen behind the curtain from my run in 2020. I went from being you know a resident that's like know the issues on the surface level to actually like really getting behind and seeing the way things are working behind the scenes. And
And that's something we talked about on our first conversation too.
yes,
The first time we actually sat down in front of the Vera, that was one of the biggest things I was saying, because if you don't know who's behind the scenes, you don't know how to stay away from it. And it's very difficult to teach because it's a lot of information. It's
that
not something you could cram in even in a week. There's that much.
it's like we say in French, they don't like it's
And
right, like they don't. It's not even.
another commitment I would like to see if we can get you to make is in the contracts with Brad Parent and at the Quiet Canyon, we actually have the authority and the right to do an audit, and we get to pick the auditors. It comes every year. Would you be open to having a real audit like Alhambra did, where they caught Brad Perrin trying to hide over $200,000 by a clerical error and really see the numbers so the residents can know what's really going on?
Well, first of all, let me just tell you, $200,000 doesn't seem to be a lot to him. So it may have been a clerical error. That's like $20 for us, apparently, if you're spending 100,000 on a recall. But what I will say is this: I wouldn't support a audit in order to catch Brad Parent into something.
No, no, no.
I,
I see where you're going. Sorry.
I support an audit, period. It
Correct.
doesn't matter whether the operator is doing a fantastic job or whether he's doing a not so good great job. I support an audit period, because it provides transparency. It answers questions to our residents. You're always going to have some residents um, that support things, and others that oppose things, right? But
Mhm.
the facts are the facts, and the numbers are the numbers. And I think that if we continue to provide transparent facts, data, to the community, it will help to get rid of some of that separation, some of that team this, team that. I mean, unless people are delusional, because once the facts are there, the facts are there, and
Yep.
you could form an opinion after that. But I think that an audit is something normal. I mean, I wouldn't even go as far as calling it an audit. Like, we reconcile. QuickBooks make you reconcile your bank accounts every month to make sure that everything is.
Let me backtrack a little bit. The reason why I bring this up is because from former city staff that's
Mhm,
no longer with us, the previous audits, because we do an audit every year, we're mandated by the bonds. We have to do it.
mhm.
Now, what was going on is Mr. Perrin would pick the audit company. It was not the council. And then they would just, okay, that's who we were going
That's
with,
of interest. That's a conflict of interest.
big time. And the other one is everybody would like to know if if when possible after the 6 months, would you be open to looking for new legal counsel that could be in-house so this way we could stop having the conflict of interest?
I mean, absolutely. I think that we have to keep all of our vendors competitive,
Perfect.
as
And I
when
know this is a
they're not.
touchy subject. And guys, for her even answering this, do you understand that most counsel currently that is sitting up there, they will not even touch this subject? I asked them, they said, not during election season. I want to get elected again, and I can't get elected if I say these things. That shows you how much they're afraid, intimidated. This is why, in my opinion, that last contract was highly done illegally, in my opinion, as well as it feels like it was blackmailed. In other words, either you give me what I want or you're going to go bankrupt.
Extortion is complete
Extortion. There
extortion.
you go.
It is. It is. But yes, no, all city vendors should be competitive. And once you can't have any you can't have any vendor, you can't do business with anyone that has no, what is that word? Incentive to do a good job. They have no incentive to do a good job because I'm untouchable. Like, nothing's gonna happen to me, like, I can do whatever I want. Like, no, we have, like, all of us, even council members, like, everyone has to be held accountable. Everyone has to perform. And once you start, it just goes to having no bid contracts. Like, if there's no bid contracts, what is the incentive to provide the most competitive price for the best possible work? There is none. I could charge you $100 million to braid your hair or whatever, fill in the blank.
Oh yeah, like the IBE digital contract where they actually voted on a contract without even having a contract in front of them. And then since then, they've additionally given three more contracts. And I said, wait a minute, that was included in the first contract. Want to know what the response was? We never had a contract, so we can't prove that was included in it. So they're just giving more and more money. It's insane. And by the way, they also did make campaign donations, people. They made a lot of them.
We got to start paying
So,
attention to that, guys. Clean money candidates.
well, sorry to be cutting it a little shorter, but I think we touched a lot of the good subjects. I think there's enough food for thought for the residents that are on the fence. And if you already have voted, thank you guys. Um, this is the time that you guys get a vote. Voice your opinions on if you're happy with what's currently going on or if you want a positive change. You know, um, it's going to be
Yes.
an interesting night tomorrow night.
We definitely need a positive change. I have my policy platform on my website at joellavaldez.com. I want to let all of the residents know that win or lose, we are still winning because our campaign has highlighted some of the issues that needed attention in our district. For instance, like we said, number one, more equitable public safety resources for District 4. In June, the council member opposed a police substation. 1 month before election, he's considering it. These are the things that we need. And within my first 100 days, I want to work with council to make sure that we take the steps in order to get a police substation on the next budget. The second thing, safe streets and sidewalks. We kept talking about Greenwood, but we have terrible roads and sidewalks throughout our district. My daughter fell on a sidewalk on uneven asphalt repair and lost her front teeth. Yes, it was coming out, but it could have been a less traumatic situation. Again, win or lose, this is something that is now being brought to the forefront, to the point where the opponent or the incumbent who had no policy platform in the beginning is now starting to talk about improving the streets and sidewalks, which was never ever on any of his materials. Third, the empty storefronts and abandoned buildings that we see on Whittier, starting at the car wash on Wilcox, Garduno's, High Cuisine, the old barber shop, and the hair salon, the French cafe, and then even on Olympic, we have many abandoned and empty warehouses that we don't know are empty because we're thinking they're warehouses, but they are. Again, this is something that I would like to tackle within the first 100 days, and we've already started. As a planning commissioner, we helped pass a resolution to register these properties and start getting to the bottom of getting these properties maintained and cleaned up so it doesn't attract um, criminal activity, or it doesn't attract houseless residents, and kind of just address the blight in general. We need to change the culture of City Hall, and we need to make sure that our elected officials are accountable to us, the residents, and not these special interests. Um, and so, yes, you can learn more about my policy platform, which I had from day one, at my website, joellavaldez.com. I also do want to take this opportunity to thank the community. I want to thank the residents. You guys are the biggest part of my campaign. Um, it's just so funny how, we protect each other and we are fighting together, because I know that all of you guys can't fight this fight. And all I am, guys. I am just the person in the front that's propped up behind 16,000 residents that want to see change. And it's really Miss Terre and Mr. Morales and Mr. Soto and Miss Martha and Miss Rosemary, and just all of the neighbors in the neighborhood, Cecil and his wife Alexis, uh, everyone. It's all of you guys. You guys are my why. You guys are what I'm doing it for. Mr. Robert, um, everybody. I can't even begin to to list everyone, but thank you. Thank you to the residents. Thank you for supporting me throughout everything when things started getting like really ugly out there in these streets in this election. Thank you.
Thank you again for taking the time with us. And, win or lose, I think you're going to see both of us still always engaged and being respectful to the council and, highlighting the issues. Um, I hope that the culture can change a little bit in the city. And at the end of the day, we're all neighbors, guys. And we all want the best. If you have parents, you have kids, or anything like that, you want to be able to give them the opportunities and something to strive for. There's not much we can do here, but we need to start striving for it.
Yes,
And
yes.
we're better.
Shout out to our kids. I also want to thank my daughter and all of her friends. They are my biggest supporters, my biggest fan club. You've seen them in person.
They're
So
awesome.
she is my why. I want her to inherit a city that she's proud of. I want her to inherit homes that she's just not, just ready to sell and go somewhere else. She loves Montebello. These kids love Montebello. We need to start supporting our kids, guys. We have some fantastic kids. The Montebello Indians U8 football team is now going on to regionals. Our cheerleading squad is about to start their competition season. We have our soccer team, our baseball teams. We have two great dance studios in our district. Untouchables and Unette, and we also have a folklore dance studio that I don't know their name. Um, that's on Whittier Boulevard, right before Montebello. So, guys, shout out our kids, support our kids when, when you get asked to buy like something from a fundraiser or come out to a game, do so. Support our kids, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Will.
No problem. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.